folks, there's drama in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The SWAC, they are trying to crack down on schools, namely Grambling, streaming their basketball games. SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClelland sent this letter to Grambling State University's interim president, Dr. Connie Walton, informing her that the university will be sanctioned if the school's basketball games are streamed on the Black-owned platform HBCU-Plus. Now, of course, you know, we have an arrangement with them, a third-party arrangement when it comes to advertising. So this is the letter right here. They lay out in there that they cannot negotiate any national deals outside of the conference, that the conference has an existing agreement with HBCU Go. My man Scottay, the host of OffScript, he joined us from Atlanta. He broke this thing down yesterday. Scottay, you really went off. I saw your broadcast and I said, hey, let's get him on to explain this. And so what the hell is going on here? Because there's been a lot of back and forth between the SWAC and Grambling, but also HBCU Plus.
Listen, it's a boiling point that has been, you know, going back and forth, bickering and the arguments. The thing for me is why now? Right? Grambling has had this deal for the past 2 years. You've never sent this letter. You haven't sent any letters about striking them or taking away their funds or, you know, banishing them from getting distributions from the conference. But now all of a sudden, their head guy, their chancellor, their president, who is a former lawyer, he leaves and goes to the ULS system. They have an interim in place, and then you slide this letter to the interim saying, hey, we need you to stop production with HBCU League Pass on a national platform. No, that's not what it is. That's shady. Okay,
so here's what I'm trying to understand here. Watching your broadcast, you said that how can the SWAC conference be attacking HBCU Plus and telling Grambling to stop when you name specific schools that stream their games on Facebook, that stream their games on YouTube? So if the conference has a deal with HBCU Go, where in the HBCU Go news, in the news release, why aren't they streaming all of the games?
HBCU Go can't produce every game. If anybody doesn't know what HBCU Go is, they're like Monday Night Football, right? They'll put everything they have into one game.
So first of all, HBCU Go is the HBCU platform that Byron Allen purchased from Curtis Simons. Go ahead.
Absolutely correct. So they have the rights to everything. I mean, they have the rights to video on demand, pay-per-view, broadcasting, streaming, whatever you name it, they have it. But they don't have the production to show every game. So SWAC schools still have to do their own production. So you have schools like FAMU that puts their game on Facebook. You have schools like Southern and UAPB, which puts their games behind a third-party paywall that are broadcast on internet. You have teams like Alabama A&M and Alabama State who put their Mississippi Valley State who put their games on YouTube. So I'm confused. If you're trying to punish Grambling for putting their thing on a national platform, that means every school in the conference has to get punished for putting their games on national platforms. And if you're telling me YouTube's not a national platform, Roland Martin, you're not on a national platform. I want to be clear. I just want to be clear.
Okay. Now, not only that, hold on. You also said that Southern and Florida A&M have deals where their games are streamed on other platforms, right?
Yeah, so FAMU streams theirs on Facebook, and Southern has a third-party platform that has, because none of these schools have built their own platforms to where you pay for it, and then, no. So they go out, they get a third-party platform that hosts the game for them, and they put it behind a paywall. You pay to go watch, and it's on the internet. So they stream it. Jackson State does it. UAPB does it. Prairie View does it. All these schools do it because that's the only way teams or fans and alums will be able to see the game if you listen to the SWAC and says you can't put your stuff on a national platform because HBCU Go cannot produce all SWAC games.
So what do you think is going on here?
I think that Dr. McClelland, because I call him a different name on my show, so I have to be respectful. Dr. McClelland has a vendetta against HBCU League Pass, and it's because of them signing their secondary rights, Grambling signing their secondary rights to HBCU League Pass Plus. So technically, HBCU Go has no rights to the streaming rights of Grambling, so that technically means they shouldn't have a deal in place. Because I can't make a contract with something that I don't own. And the SWAC does not own Grambling streaming rights. They have, if anybody knows what the Florida State and the ACC thing is, because Florida State has a grant of rights. The SWAC does not do that. The SWAC in their bylaws does not have a grant of rights passage in their bylaws. So technically, Grambling owns them, and they can do as they see. That's why you see other teams and other schools do the same thing about putting it on YouTube, putting it on Facebook, putting it on any third-party platform that is able to show their game.
Well, that's why, I mean, last year, for the longest, the Grambling Prairie View football game has never been broadcast. Well, then all of a sudden, a deal was struck, and the promoter, Al Walsh, allowed the game to be broadcast and streamed. The SWAC, and again, I read the letter, but when you talk about who negotiates deals, the Grambling Southern game, the Bayou Classic, the SWAC does not negotiate that deal. In fact, Grambling and Southern, people don't even know this, Grambling and Southern pay NBC to air the game. So when the SWAC says that only they can negotiate contracts with national outlets, you don't negotiate the Bayou Classic.
And it's a conference game, bro. That's
right. It's a SWAC conference game.
A conference game. So
wait a minute. The Prairie View Grambling game, the State Fair Classic in Dallas, is a conference game.
So once again, now you're getting in the ramifications of, if you punish Grambling for this, that means there's a widespread of violations that have to come down over the entire SWAC. And you're already in litigation for interfering with the HBCU Plus deal. And now you're just adding more fuel to the fire of them to say, you're still interfering with our deal. And the way they responded to the letter, oh, magnifique. I mean, the lawyers for Grambling come back and say, hey, if we're violating something, show us in your bylaws. Cite your bylaws and tell us what we're doing wrong. And they CC'd all the presidents and chancellors and say, hey, if we also get violated, then all of them should get violations, because we're all doing the same thing.
Questions from the panel. Mustafa, you first.
Yeah, so Scotty, thanks for everything you do, and thanks for bringing this forward. So are we moving toward litigation, or do you think that they'll find some way of resolving this issue?
So HBCU League Pass Plus has litigation against the SWAC currently. So they're already in a litigation battle. What they're looking to do going forward is an emergency injunction to say, hey, Judge, this is getting worse. Look at what they're doing. You know, we had a deal in place. We've been doing this deal for 2 years, and now all of a sudden they want to come down on us on violations of broadcasting when every other school in the SWAC does it outside of HBCU Go. So I really think it just adds more fuel to the fire for HBCU League Pass and what they're trying to get accomplished.
Randy? You're there you go. We got you.
Okay, yeah. Do you think this is more about money or power? You mentioned a personal vendetta. I am just confused why this infighting is occurring, and disappointed as a HBCU graduate.
I think it's my good friend of mine, BJ. His dad said, "Ego plus ego equals zero," and I think it's an ego battle of. There's legal ramifications behind this, but I do think it's an ego battle because of Grambling telling the SWAC what it can and cannot do, right? You have guys at HBCU League Pass Plus who have ran billion-dollar companies. You know what I'm saying? You have co-founders who have been part of the Warriors, been a part of Ebony, so they understand the media landscape. They understand what you can and cannot do rights-wise, and they're telling the commissioner, hey, you can't do this. This is not legal. There's no bylaw that says you can do this, right? So I think it's that. And then you get, if I'm a commissioner in a position that I don't know the media rights, then why am I in this position? Well, I mean, everybody, if you look at the landscape of college football, most commissioners are the focal points of big media deals. So you're telling me, how are you in a position where you don't understand media rights?
All right. Well, did Grambling's lawyers give the SWAC a few days? Because you said in your broadcast they gave them, 3 days to respond?
Absolutely. They gave him 3 days to respond. That was on January 8th yesterday. I talked to co-founder Hardy Pelt earlier this morning, said no response. So we'll see where it goes from here if Grambling still decides to show the games or if they're just saying, hey, we'll just take it straight litigation and we'll fight that battle. But this is definitely something to keep an eye on because it could get really bad for the SWAC really quick.
All right. Folks, follow OffScript on YouTube, all the social media platforms as well. Check his show out. Scott, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it, Ro.